hope you can see my screen as well as you hear my voice. Yes, no? Didn't hear anything. Anybody speaking anything? Anybody speaking anything?
No, it's visible and we can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, we'll start with the prayer first.
Good afternoon, Anita.
Very good afternoon. We'll start with the prayer. Close your eyes, palms together. If you feel you are done, slowly open your eyes. Okay, today is an interesting part of the sun. As usual, we'll start with the revision, then we'll move into the further houses of the sun. Okay, we'll try to finish number of houses today. We'll have the clear goal. We'll see. Okay, let's go with the Panchang first. Today's Gocharam. Rahu in the Meena, Ketu in the Kanni Rasi, along with the Chukran, and the Guru in the Rishabha, Mangal in the Mithuna, Sunny in the Kumbha. So the yearly planets, this all the position. Chandra now in the Makara Rasi. The peoples who are having the Makara Lagna or the Magara Rasi, or the people who are having the Chandra, Makara Rasi as the 8th house or the 6th house. If you have anything, watch your emotions today, how you behave to others, how you're behaving yourself. And this is the best day for researching about yourself. For the peoples who I said, Magara Lagna, Magara Rasi, or the 8th, Magara Rasi is the 8th house or the 6th house. Okay, and okay, let's move into the other thing. Surya in the 9th house, Moon house, and the Buddha along with the Buddha. We covered everything else. Let's move into the Panchang. It is the Dwadasi up to 8:42, then followed by the Triyodasi. Then Nakshatra is the Shravana, followed by the Dhanishta. So the peoples who are in a local, in the Sanskrit is Shravana, Dhanishta having this different meaning in their local languages. Okay. For example, if it is in the Tamil, Shravana is not the Shravana, we call it as a Trivon. Dhanishta, if I'm not wrong, it is in Avitam. It depends upon the nakshatra name is also differ according to your local languages. Okay, it's coming into the yoga, Adhikanda, and followed by the Sukarma. Karana, today's 3 Karana will come, Bhava, Balava, and Kaulava. As usual, Vara is Ravi Vara, Paksha is the Shukla Paksha. Moving into our stating part of today. 30 seconds, state this Kala Purusha chart. Okay, your time starts now. Only a few more seconds. Okay then. I hope you see this as much as possible. Whenever time permits, make this one as knowingly or unknowingly it should be registered in your mind. Okay, then we'll see the Latrama horoscope for a few seconds. Today only concentrate about the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. So the 7th house is the Mars, 8th house, there was no planet in it. 9th house is the Venus, 10th house is the Surya in it. And some point in time we will learn about the AL and the UL. This is AL means the Aruda Lagna, UL is the Upapada Lagna. when we find the time, we will discuss about this. But at this point, we need to understand about the AL and the UL. Okay, so moving into the sun, we'll have very quick revision. Sun, another name is the Ravi and the Surya. Okay, we enlarge here for a minute. Okay. Sun exalted 10 degrees in the Mesha. Simharasi is the wound house as well as the Mul Trikona 0 to 20 degree. And gender is the male. Malefic aspect only having only one aspect. The seventh aspect direction is the east. The direction of strength is the south. Malefic, yes. Adidevata Agni, Pratyadi Devata Shivan. Element is an Agni. Dosha is the Pitta dosha. Debilitated in the Tula Rasi, same 10 degree. Okay, let's going into the relationship. Friends with the moon, Mars, and the Jupiter. Neutral is the Mercury, and the other two planets are enemies, which are they are Venus and the Saturn. Nakshatra, Kritika, Uttra Palguni, Uttarashada. Dasha period is 6 years. When it comes into learn about why we understand about the numbers of the nakshatra, right now at the beginning of the stage, we know it won't show much importance, but when we are starting learning about the nakshatra, these numbers will have a greater impact when you are understanding about the nakshatra. So let's start having learning nakshatra along with the numbers. 3 Kritika, 12 is Uttra Palguni, 21 is the Uttarashada. Then the sun, when the sun in this first house, it's most of the all the time first house represents yourself, the Jataka. So when the sun was in the first house, it shows the confidence, self-assurance, believe in oneself. Mostly these people are very, very confident person, like Swami Vivekananda. Okay, second house. Second house represents the liquid assets whichever you have, speech and the family food and all kind of the nourishment. Especially it represents your throat, right eye and the eyesight. Okay, it gives you, okay, me reduce this, not too much. I hope this is help. Okay. Now they are having the good financial ability, their accumulation capability is also high. When it comes into the third house, it represents your ambition, courage, art, passion, communication. These people, very courageous, ambitious, decisive. Okay, one important thing, we'll come into that later. Fourth house. Fourth house is there represents the interest and ability in nurturing others. And the social environment, how they are building their social environment. These people are very good. When the sun in the fourth house, their social relationship is the very good. They definitely will have the content happy family life. Most probably they are very supportive in nature. Creativity and empathetic comes as the inbuilt quality for them. When sun in the fifth house, it represents the creativity, intellect, the children. Okay, important thing. When the sun in the fifth house is the creativity, but some people will say, I have the sun in the fifth house, but I don't have the creativity. Then you have to look into how much the sun is afflicted in your Jataka. If the sun was afflicted, what is that meaning affliction? If the sun's auspiciousness is reduced, if the sun was not in a good position, or aspected by the malefic planets, or residing in the enemy's house, then the owner of the house is afflicted. There are many things will have to take into account when you find out the auspiciousness of the graha. Everything applicable to sun here. So that point in time when the sun was not in a good position, then the creativity will become less. But at the same time, if they want to trigger the creativity, they have to invoke the sun's energy in them. Okay, then intellect, children, amusement, speculation, and the childlike activities. These people are very good in thinking, and the meditation, speculating will comes their own nature for them. Their mentality is also interested towards the gambling and entertainment. Possibility of the romantic pursuits. When sun in the sixth house. Self-protection till the moment of fifth house. Okay, let's come into sixth house. Sixth house moves from the self-protection to the protecting others. When the sun in the sixth house, most of the time we'll see 6, 8, and the 12 or the hidden houses or the Dushtana. So when the Graha was placed in it, most of the time it will give the analysis as it's not in a good position, auspiciousness was reduced. But when the sun was in the 6th house, it's good for them. They have the service mentality. They have the high potential in guarding the nation or guarding others, protecting others. They have this ability highly inside them. Okay. Importantly, when the sun in the 6th house, nobody can bring them. If the sun was in a good position in the 6th house, aspected by the benefic planets, no one can win over in any of the lawsuits. Again, then comes into the 7th house. 7th house represents your spouse, how you react, how you deal with them. Okay, the spouse can be anything. The 7th house can represent your spouse, your partner, your boss, or the client or customer, whoever you consider as the partner. It provides the strong vibes and the inspiring harmonious. They are very travel in nature. Importantly, they have the good ability to resolving the conflicts when the sun in the 7th house. Okay, let's coming into the today's lesson. Now in the sun in the 8th house. Okay, most of the time when the other grahas was placed in a dostana, we considered as they are going into reducing their effect, right? But when the sun was in the 6th house or in the 8th house, it's a good place for them. 8th house, first before coming into the sun in the 8th house, let's understand what is the 8th house represent. 8th house represents your core vitality, transformation. It's a house of the mysteries. If the peoples have an ability to learn the occult science, or they had the fate to learn the occult science, it will be represented in the 8th house. The people will say in the beginning, no, I consider a person to have a very strong house and they have an ability of learning the occult science. But initially they will say, I'm not interested in the occult science, this, that. But when the time comes, when that particular graha activates fully, no one can stop them. They will definitely learn the occult science. Okay, that's why they said it is a house of mystery. And the longevity is also mentioned in here. Okay, when the sun in the 8th house, they are very much interested in the spiritual mysteries, importantly, spiritual mysteries. Why I'm stressing the point here? Because the people who are inclined towards the spiritual nature, that was different. But these people are interested in the spiritual mysteries. And what is the meaning? They're concerned with the life and death. They want to find out the reason why causing the death, why the person was born, why they want to leave the body, how they are leaving the body, how the soul was entering into the body, how long they can live. When they die, what happens to them? Okay, most of the time you see when the sun in the 8th house, these people will definitely speak about life after the death. Definitely they will read about the book about the life after the death. They try to find out the reason why the peoples are born in this planet, why they need to born, why they are dying. What is the reason for their death? At the moment when they're leaving their body, what will happen? When the sun in the 8th house make them to do it. Okay, that's why the pathologist is the very good career for them. Possibly most of the pathologists may have the sun in the 8th house. Mostly they're very, very curious about the hidden side of the life. They want to understand, even to deep dive into it. Consider a person who want to have a content family life. They want to just live the peaceful life. Most of the time they don't worry about the life after the death or why caused the death, what is the reason for the death, why the death was coming. They're not interested in that. But when the people in the sun in the 8th house, they have a special curious mind. They want to find out the reason of the life. Why when the cell was small, formed in the womb. It was developed into a human. Why? What is the reason for this born to this planet? If they death, what will happen? When they are reborn, what will happen? Is the possibility of the reborn or not? So many questions. They are trying to find out all the hidden natures. Okay. The transformation possibility is they have a high possibility of forming into a divine good, because the question that comes into their mind. They want to. It's not only comes into the mind that every people have the questions in their minds, but these people have an ability to find out the answer. Okay, why this question? Why when I have this question, why I can't find an answer? They don't stop. They put the effort, they put the research, and they find out an answer. Okay. There was one thing crossed my mind. Most of the time, I learned one. My first guru is most of the people know about him. My first guru is called. His name is Vedatri Maharishi. One time he said, most of the questions which I asked, I get from the answers from the Irenila. Irenila means it's a Tamil word. In other words, you can mention it as then you can get an answer from the cosmic. All the answers which I asked to the nature give me the answer. It was just like that. But everybody will ask the question to the world, right? How come he have the ability to get an answer? It's because of that much he was communicating with the nature. That much he was communicating, establishing the connection with the cosmic. So that's why whenever he has the question, the answer is coming to me from the universe itself. The people will say, I downloaded this answer. Most of the people will say, I downloaded that answer. Because the answer is everywhere. The question is emerged from you. You derive the answer from the cosmic. Okay. Why I'm telling that? The sun in the 8th house people will have that nature to find the answer from the universe itself. They don't need to read anything. But when they sit in the meditation, most of them, there was one book written by Paramahamsa Yogananda also. He also said when when he traveled to the foreign land, he didn't have the time to read many of the books. But his guru Yukteswar said, okay, go ahead and do your job in the foreign land. But that moment he have many questions, right? But he was telling, whenever I have the questions, the meditations gives me an answer. Yeah, there was an elaborate answer given by him, but I tell it in 1 or 2 sentences here. But that's why these peoples are the divine gurus. They have an ability to communicate with the universe. Okay, to stop the discussion here. Anybody having the sun in the 8th house? I'm really curious to know about these peoples. Anybody have the sun in 8th house? I also didn't find anybody. I tried to find the Paramahamsa Yogananda horoscope, but I couldn't find. I tried to find the 2 peoples who I'm really curious about, because they are very good gurus. And they teach the yoga in a very, very different fashion. And everyone can learn about it. But I couldn't find any of them. If anybody knows sun in the 8th house. No? Okay, let's moving into the next one. Okay, before moving into the next house, we have to come into an understanding about one thing. Okay, I'm only speaking. My voice is here. You can able to hear my voice, right? You didn't say anything. I feel like
Yes, Vanita. Yeah,
Yeah,
we can hear you.
that's great. Okay, when the sun was in the considered, you have a Tula Lagna. Okay, then the 8th house is the Rishabha. Is this correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so when the sun have in your Rashi, when the sun in the 8th house, there is the 12 possibilities will come, because we have the 12 Rashis. So when the sun in the 8th house means the sun can come in any one of your Rashis based on the luck. Okay, for the Tula Lagna, now the Rishabha is the Rishabha becomes your 8th house. For the Mesha Lagna, consider this is the Mesha Lagna. Then which is the 8th house for this Mesha Lagna?
Vrichika.
Vrishchika.
becomes the 8th house. So depends upon your lagna, the sun's 8th position is also different. So possibly 12 rasis too, you also have the sun in 8th house, the 12 possibilities. Okay, then what are the things you have to find out when you see the Jataka for the first time? Find out where is the sun position and which rasi in it. Okay, sun position means if it is in the first house, second house, third house, fourth house, or whichever house it is, find the position. Now consider we are only concentrating on the 8th house. Now consider the sun in the 8th position. Then find out which rasi in it. So for this example, we considered in first example, ascendant is the Tula Lagna. Then the 8th position, sun is in the 8th position. So what is the rasi? Rishabha rasi. So remember that. Sun is in the Rishabha rasi. Again, remember the element which is associated with it, the Rishabha rasi. What is that element? Anybody remember that?
Earth.
Earth was related with this. Okay. So this is the fixed sign, movable sign. Anybody remember that?
Fixed.
Sarasthira
Earth
Upai.
is fixed.
It's a fixed one, correct?
Hmm.
So this is the fixed. Anybody remember this is the male or the female rasi?
Female. Second is female. No, all even numbers are female.
All even numbers are female.
Female.
So whenever you see this, all things, what are the things you have to consider? Position, and you find out the rasi. Once you find out the rasi, remember the 5 elements. Okay, there earth is an element fixed in nature and the female and the quality. Remember all these things. We have to combine it together to form one analysis later. Okay. Then you have to find out whether it is afflicted or not. What is the meaning of affliction? If the sun was considered, now the sun was not afflicted. Now consider the situation when the sun was okay. Now I put the sun here. Meena Lagna. Okay, sun was in the 8th house. Give me sun letter was wrong. Okay, sun was here. Okay, why? What happened to sun in the Tula Rasi?
It's debilitated.
That is debilitated because Saturn is exalted there.
So
Yeah.
then the sun is afflicted more here. Why? The sun lost its complete energy. The Jataka not able to receive the sun's energy inside him. So there is also what other possibilities will come when it was afflicted. Considered this here, the Saturn was here. The enemy
Aspect
was a
also.
spec. Then one more thing. Then the Venus was here. We considered the Venus. Venus is also an enemy. Venus is all, but the interesting here. Okay, the Saturn is the malefic planet. Aspecting the sun, it is a malefic, complete malefic. But Venus, what about the Venus? Venus is an enemy to the sun. But Venus is the malefic planet or benefic planet?
Neuter, no? No, Mercury is neuter. Yeah.
No, Venus
No, no,
but
Venus
Saturn
is-
is not aspecting sun here because this is
sorry.
8th aspect.
Sorry, sorry.
It should be in the 7th house to aspect sun.
Yes, that's it. Wait a second. And now it's okay?
Yeah.
I quickly try to make it as an example, my mistake. Sorry, sir. Okay. Now the Saturn was here. Now I put the Venus is also here.
But Vanita, one question. Saturn itself there is in a weak position, no? Because that is Sun's house. Sun is exalted there in Aries. Is
Correct.
there a connection like that?
Definitely it will be there. But when we see about the sun in the Saturn in the second house, we'll come back to the same thing again.
Okay.
At this point, remember about the Saturn is the malefic. Consider that point. Saturn is the malefic aspecting the sun. So that point, the sun here is afflicted already. Sun is afflicted already. But okay, there is also one more concept will come.
But Sun also aspects Saturn, no? Either ways, both ways.
Either way.
So,
There was also one more will come. Nietzsche Bhanga Raj Yoga. We'll learn about this later. When the afflictions also cancel each other, then there was no there is no point for there is no way of affliction there. There is also situation will come, but now make it as try not to. Okay, let's make it as life simpler. Okay, I make it as a sun little bit good here in the Vrikshika, the Saturn is here.
Yeah, then things are,
So at
yeah,
this point in time, anyway, the seventh aspect for the Sun is
yeah,
aspecting
both are
each other.
seeing each other, yeah.
But at this point, remember, Saturn is aspecting the Sun. It was the malefic planet. Okay, now the situation is changing here. Now,
But is
consider
there
in fact-
something like this is a more powerful planet that will have more effect or something like that? No.
it will be there, but the when the Saturn, which is sitting in the same house, which is wherever it was sitting, it will good to
Not
them.
do anything. Yeah.
But when it was aspecting the other planets, it gives more
Negative.
malefic effects to that graha itself, particularly that Rasi itself. Okay.
But then,
now-
Vanita, the strength of the aspect for that, should we have to see the Shadbala and decide which
Shadbala,
planet is
Yeah, that's an
strong?
easiest way where you can, the second point which I'm going to come there. But at this point, when you quickly see the chart where you can find out whether the Sun is afflicted or not, there are a few points you have to remember. Then once you remember that point, then you have to confirm that point also, whether the affliction which we found out in the chart is correct or not later. Okay. So when you are seeing the first horoscope, you, see the position first, Rasi second, and afflicted or not. The affliction make the two, 3 points in the mind first. So when you understand this point later, when you are practicing again and again, there are some other points comes into your mind. Then you quickly understand. Okay, Sun is afflicted. Exactly. So what are the 2, 3 points you have to remember about when the Sun is debilitated and when the Sun was aspected by the malefic planets? Okay, there was one more situation when the Venus was aspecting the Sun. This is considered as affliction? No. Why?
No.
Even though the Venus is an enemy, but the Venus is an auspicious planet.
Okay.
Okay, there is a twist here. Again, when we say instead of the Venus, there was a Jupiter was aspecting the Sun. This is very good. There is also yoga for here. We no need to consider about that situation now. But when the Jupiter was aspecting the Sun, this is not considered as the affliction because the auspicious planet aspecting the Sun considered as the good only. Okay, now we'll go back to the second point. Now, how we can find out the strength of the Sun? There are the various points you have to find out the complete strength of the Sun. We discussed earlier, elaborately discussed about how many things we have to find out, how we can find out the Sun's strength, right? In the 20, 30 years back, if you go to an astrologer, they will find out without any software, they are found out on their own itself. They find out easily the Sun strength is high or not. But now we have an opportunity to use the software. You just go ahead into the Jagannath Core or any other software whichever you are using. Go into the Shatbala, find the strength of the Sun. If the Sun strength was good, and there is also which Virupa which we gave in the previous PowerPoints, right? How many Virupas the Sun considered as the very good strength or not. So based on that point, then you have to find out, okay, Sun is in the good strength in the Jataka or not. Then find out the aspects. Already we discussed benefic or malefic.
Affliction is also if
We
it
have
is-
when you are
sorry. When you say afflicted,
affliction is also
it means it is aspected by malefic planet, right? That's what the affliction means.
correct. The afflicted means when it was in the position, what is the position it was placed. Affliction comes into many answers. One is it debilitated or not? Affliction means how much the graha was damaged already in your jataka. In other words, how the auspiciousness was reduced on. That gives you meaning of the affliction. You have to find out whether the Sun is debilitated or not. What is the position in it? When it comes into the Sun, even the Dusthana is also good for the Sun. But for the some other grahas, the position of the graha placed in the Jataka is considered also affliction. For example, if the Venus was, let us take in a very small, Mercury was placed in a 6, 8, 12, not considered as the good one. The education of that person may get disturbed also. So that's why for the sun, it was an exceptional point. Even if it was in a 6 and 8, considered as the good only. For the Venus, if it is in the 12, it is considered as the good only. It depends on the graha placed in which position. The affliction is also meaning different. Okay. So what position in it, exalt, debilitated or not, and the affliction comes in various ways. So why I make it is in a separate point, so that you can feel that how you can see the sun in the Jataka. The aspect is also considered as the afflicted. When the malefic was aspected by the sun, the affliction is also considered. Okay. But when you're seeing the aspect here, you have to see what the sun was aspecting which house. Is the sun was aspected by the malefic or the benefic planets, or sun, which is okay, there is a 2 ways which is coming here, right? The graha which is in this house aspecting the sun, and the sun which is aspecting the graha in this house. So you have to consider the 2 ways. That's why I gave the second point as a separate. But this point is also coming here in the affliction. It's of course it is. But why I gave this as a separate point? Because the 2 ways you have to consider. The sun, which is aspecting the graha in the rasi, and the graha in that rasi aspecting the sun. You have to consider both. Okay, for example, the sun which is in the for the Tula Lagna, sun now is in the Rishabha rasi. But when it was aspecting the second house of the Jataka. Okay, remember, when the sun was at 8th house is sun, aspecting the second house means the Jataka may have the problem in the eyes also. This is the negative points for the sun aspect in the second house, when it was in the 8th house. The expansion of the family may get reduced. They may not be able to expand the family. What does it mean? They may get the few children, not in my grandparents and the before generation. If you ask them, they definitely will have the 7 and 8 child. They consider it is the less number of the children. But nowadays, if you ask them if you have the 1 children, they consider it as the content family. But in the earlier days, the people will have the maximum. There are a number of children. Minimum they have the 5 children in there for a couple. But if the sun was aspecting the second house, means the family expansion will be reduced. That is a negative point. So that you have to consider that one also. When the sun considered, imagine this situation when the sun was in. Okay, let it be. I don't want to confuse other things. The sun was in the second house, means the second house will get affected because the 8th house is sun, which is aspecting the second house, means the second house benefit will be affected. That's why when most of us. I can able to hear you, but very well.
Can you
Anybody
mute
hear me?
everyone,
Yes,
Vanita?
No, you could mute it. It's something else.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, then when the sun was aspecting the second house, means the second house is also get afflicted. So that's why I'm not touching that point now. But remember that. Yeah, I don't know who is speaking. Wait a second.
No, I think you should mute everyone, Vanita.
Okay,
This is noise from someone else.
wait a second. Oh my God. How I can mute everybody? Okay, wait a second. I would try to mute everyone. Okay. Okay, what I tried to say here was when you're seeing about the aspect, the sun's aspect speaks a lot. But right now, when I explained at this point in the sun in the 8th house, we are representing one less sun residing in the 8th house only. We are not speaking about the negative points. But when you speak about the aspect of the second house, that give you the whole different story. But why we didn't include this now? But at this point, remember when the sun was in the 8th house, later point in time, when we have moved further, we understand about when the sun was aspecting the 2nd house, what will become. Why? Because the 8th house sun aspecting. Remember when the sun in the 6th house, okay, answer this one. The sun was here. Let me know this. Okay, the sun aspecting which house? 6th house sun aspecting which house? Anybody?
Rishabha, that is the 12th house.
12th house. Okay. Then this is the house for the ayana sign bone, right? If this is the house for your sleep, this is the house for your pleasure, everything. That may get affected also when the sun was in the 6th house. But what is the sun in the 6th house? What are the benefits you have? You have the very service mentality. You have the high ability of the god in soldiering nature. So all the good points will come. But when it was aspecting the other houses, that house will get affected. So that's why this is all the good points, right? Right now we are seeing about sun in the 8th house only, but there is another part, there is another layer also. What is that? That is why I gave the second point. Right at this point, remember which house it was aspecting. That is more than enough. Later point in time, the knowledge will come on its own. Okay, the sun, 8th house, sun aspecting the 2nd house, 6th house, sun aspecting the 12th house, 7th house, sun will aspecting the lagna itself. So you will get, this knowledge will come on its own. So at this moment, remember when the sun in the 8th house, all the things will come into your mind. Okay. Then the last point about is Rasi or house aspect. Okay, this is the, which house or this point is the repeated one. This one no need. You can eliminate this one. We are already considering the first point itself. Okay, this the last point you need. So when you are seeing about the sun in your Jataka, there's all the few points you have to quickly remember. When you see the Jataka, what are the things you have to do? What are the position? What is the Rasi in it? What are the aspect, afflicted or not? Find the strength. And when you're seeing the aspect, remember about the malefic benefic, and also keep in mind when the sun aspecting which house. That is also keep that in mind. Okay, this much clear? Yes or no? No.
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, sun in the 9th house. Yeah. Usually when we see the other grahas later on, we see the 6, 8, and the 12. We'll see the bad things, but for the sun, it was always super. 6 is super, 8 is super, 9 is super, 10th, 11th, 12th. It's an overwhelming part for the sun graha. Okay, now we'll see the sun in the 9th house. Before that, sun, what is the 9th house represents? 9th house represents your father, father-in-law, or father kind of the figure in your life, gurus, and the fortune, philosophy, your higher education, religious ethics you follow, what kind of the culture you are hereditarily following, your heritage, everything will be mentioned in, well, we can understand or represented from the 9th house itself. When the sun was in the 9th house, his or her father was very strong in nature. He's having a good authoritative sense, and he had a full ability to lead the group of peoples. Okay, there is also one important point. When the 9th house sun was in a good position, then the father was leading a good people. Okay, when the 9th sun in the 9th house, but aspected by the malefic planets, then the father will lead the not good peoples. The nature of the leading will be there, but the aspect will change the nature of the people who they are leading. For example, in the Ramayana, Rama leads the people, Ravana leads the people. What is the difference between them? Both of them have the good leadership. They know how to lead the people. Rama knows how to lead the peoples, how to direct the peoples. Ravana also do the same thing. He knows how to control the people. What is the difference between these two peoples? Rama leads the good people. Ravana leads the people in a bad way. Their direction makes a difference for them. So now come back to in the sun in the ninth house. Strong father. So that is also differ. Okay, the strong father we are seeing as in one side of the coin. This is all the points represents your one side of the coin. What is that other side? What is the strong father? Here, when the sun in the ninth house, remember this. Okay, let's go with Meena Lagna. Anybody have the sun in the ninth house?
My daughter has sun in the ninth house.
Really? Which
Yeah.
Lagna? Which
She
Lagna?
is Simha Lagna only. Simha
Okay.
Lagna.
Meena Lagna.
And it is in
Yes.
Aries, that sun.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mesha. Okay, the sun was exalted here. Awesome. Definitely. Okay, what is the graha in the? Wait,
There is nothing in the Libra. That is nothing in the
no
Libra.
graha in the.
No, yeah.
Okay, where is the Venus?
Venus is in the 10th house. Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, all are three are in the next house, 10th house. Yeah.
Venus, Mercury.
Mercury and Jupiter.
Oh, awesome. Okay,
And
the
11th, next is Mars is there. Mars in that.
Mars in the 11th house.
And
12th,
Moon is in the Moon. Moon is there.
Moon
Moon is in the Kataka only.
is in 12th house.
Yeah, Moon is in the 12th house.
Okay. His father is definitely very strong in nature, correct?
Yeah, he's strong.
And when the sun in the ninth house represents, this is a very good example because it was the sun aspecting Venus, but there was no graha in it. The Venus was placed in the, okay, now Venus was placed in the own house. Yes or no?
Yeah, Rishabha it is.
That is
in
also
Rishabha.
again the strength of the owner of the house. Now the son have the full potential. So the father is definitely a very, very strong person, and his authoritative nature is equivalent to the son. So now this is your daughter's.
Yeah, this is my daughter's.
Like, she's married or she's not?
She's married.
Okay. How about her father-in-law?
He was in they are in the US itself. Now he's retired, but yeah, he's very good, very nice man.
Because the ninth house for the women, when before their marriage it represents their father, after their marriage it represents the father-in-law. There is a twist in here also. The people will say why it was represent. When the father figure, some peoples may there are kind of godfather for them or the gurus in them. When the sun in the ninth house, it represents everybody in their life, whatever which I mentioned. Father-in-law, gurus, or father-like people. So they're very strong in nature. And inherits genes more from the father, importantly. They behave like the father. If you see the peoples who have the sun, knowingly or unknowingly, they exactly behave their father. They inherit the genes from them. How you can find out? The people in the family, they can easily find out. How about your daughter?
That is 100% true what you said, because even when she was a child, I always used to say, I am more emotional, but she's very logical. Like men only she will behave like. She will not be disturbed for anything. And she says like that way, like there's a little difference between a lady and a man dealing situation. So she's more rational. I don't know, like logical, more of logical and analytical rather than she's not like me. I'm a little emotional. So.
Because the sun was in the Mesha, that isn't too exalted. Definitely these people's the emotional level is too, it's moderate only. They won't deep down because they are empathetic in nature. The empathy of them comes in inbuilt for them. Okay, then ethical foundation. They definitely follow the ethics culture. They won't go beyond the culture.
Yeah.
If the culture says this is the thing you have to do, their boundaries that don't want it. They won't jump out of the boundary. They won't allow anybody to jump out of the boundary as well. Okay,
this is also true. She's very this thing about it. Like she's very upfront and what do I say? Like straightforward and many things on that part. And she doesn't encourage unnecessary things. That's also.
Okay, there was one thing I will say here. What is the ethical foundation means? If the religion or the culture or the tradition, it lists some points. Okay, remember there was some few points it was say. I can frankly say one thing, but I don't want to say that one in this public forum. But if the listing of any one of the points was consider there was a 10 points listed by this tradition, they definitely follow. Even if you give the relaxation, okay, you can eliminate 1 point, 2 points, they won't do that. They follow exact 10 points. And if somebody was going out of the boundary, they pull them also. They won't allow them to go out of the boundary. They will convince you. They have an ability to convince you. That is the important thing. Okay. How about her education, higher education?
Yeah, she did well. She did masters in financial engineering. So she's abroad only. So she's there, settled there.
Naturally, their education level will go smoothly. That there is no hiccups in them. There are some people, they do the graduation and they have the long years of the gap they will do after the higher education, and they have again long gap then do their higher education. For them, for the son in the 9th house, it's a smooth walk. They follow their education in their own pace, but they're going smoothly in it. Definitely, these people drawn to the philosophy. You go and speak with them. You will definitely understand. When you speak with this 9th house sun people, you will understand. Okay, sun sits in the 9th house because the philosophy when they were speaking, you won't deny them. You may argue with them, but end of the day, you will be definitely convinced by them. Even if you have the very good arguments to them, you may have n number of the points to support that. They have the ability to overcome your thought. They have an ability to overcome whatever you are speaking. These people are very much drawn to the philosophy. Okay, most importantly, right action, right path. They won't deviate from anything. There is no addiction coming to the path. There is no wrong thing coming into their action. You can blindly follow them. If the peoples are in the sun, give me a second, I will put the chart. Second. Second. Okay. I thought it plugged in. Later I understood the signal was saying it wasn't. Okay. They won't deviate from their action, right action particularly. Okay, the legal matters, sometimes they involved in the legal matters, or they may have the profession in the legal matters, or some kind of the legal matters, they keep in touch. Okay, now we'll have the very good example. If anybody doubts in the 9th house, okay, one important thing, last point. Now let's consider her Shinma Lagna. Oh, okay, Shinma Lagna. And the sun in the Mesha. Okay. Sun in the 9th house. Aspecting which house?
Tula.
Hmm?
Tula.
Tula. Okay, here. The sun was aspecting, what is the 3rd house means? Anybody remember? What is the 3rd house?
Third house is courage, communication,
Siblings.
and neighbors.
What is it? Siblings? What is that?
Siblings.
Siblings, then? I heard some other thing. Siblings, then?
Neighbors, I think.
What is it?
Neighbors.
Oh,
People
neighbors.
living
Oh, okay.
close by.
Okay, the communication comes here, courage will come here, ambition, aim. Because there is no planet in here and for this Jataka, then this person will have a very good ambition in their life. They know they know their goal. And if they know their goal very well in their life, they know how to achieve that also. Somebody will have some people in their life, they know what is their goal, but they don't know how to achieve them. But not these peoples when they're sun in the 9th house, respecting the 3rd house, if the house, if the position, the Rasi was in a good position, then they know what to do in their life. Their right action, this is definitely fulfilled for them. But in the situation will differ when it was respected by the malefic planet. What is it meaning? They have the strength, but they don't know that they know anything about their goal. They know that ambition, but they don't know how to proceed. But if sometimes it's maybe differ. They know goal, they know how to proceed, but it may get delayed. But so this is the point you have to remember. It depends upon the aspect which is was and was expecting, Graha was placed in it, a position, all you have to consider, then you have to find out an answer. So at this moment, when you are overwhelmed with okay, this part was the aspecting part which I get really confused. Don't worry. At this moment, you no need to worry about the aspecting part now. Sun which is aspecting the 3rd house, if it is overwhelming for you, skip that part. But remember this one. Okay, remember sun in the 9th house, remember that one, that is more than enough. Okay, we can easily move forward with this point. Okay, now I quickly moving into any questions till now? Okay, as moving into 10th house. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask any point in time. Okay, sun in the 10th house is a special one. Okay, this is a superstar for the sun. Why? Sun have a Dikbala in the 10th house. Yes or no? Anybody having a sun in the 6th, 10th house? Okay, considered with Kanni Lagna. Sun was here. Okay, sun was in the Dikbala. Yes or no? Sun in the 10th house. Okay, expecting which house?
Sun or 4th house.
4th house. Okay, before we are seeing all about the things, let's see what is the 10th house will do. 10th house represents the image in your professional life. Your house of the career. 10th house means what will simply comes into our mind. It's a house of the career. It's a professional life. Also, what the world sees you. These three important things will come. Okay, I can't able to remember all these 3 things. Then one simple thing. Remember, it's a house of career. That's it. 10th house is a house of career. Then, when the sun was placed in the 10th house, what the things will become? Career status in the life. It will be super good when the sun in the 10th house. You have the definitely long-standing goals. We remember this one. You long-standing goals means you have an ability to achieve them also. Once you started that goal, you know how to proceed. You will achieve whatever you want. Definitely, these people will have the payment status. And the payment status, it's not the short amount of the time. For the entire professional life, they have the payment status. They have a very good reputation in the professional life. Whatever the profession they are doing, whichever the profession they are leading in, even they are that whichever the job which you feel it as a least one, they will shine in that. Whichever profession you feel it was the highest profession in your life, they will shine in that. Whatever the profession they choose, which they feel like this is my profession, they will shine in that no matter what. And when the sun was in the 10th house, that too, it was the house of your career. When the sun was placed in it, the authorityness will come on its own and it becomes your one of the quality for you. You have an ability to authoritatively say or decide any decision from your position. There is a possibility you have an hold in a government because the sun was placed in your career house. That is your 10th house. You may have the hold in the government also. That's a possibility. You may be end up in the government job, or you may have an ability to take a career in a government path also, or the government position, that may be in higher position. There is a high possibility you may get a higher position by higher status in your professional job. Anybody having the sun in the 10th house? Mhm. Okay, altogether, when the sun, which is in the Digbala means that every planet will have its own different directional strength, right? This 10 sun in the 10th house will gives you the full strength. How come the sun when it was in exalted? How that kind of the energy will have when the sun was in your career house, it's a 10th house, it will enhance your career in a enhanced way, much enlarged way. Your when the people who are working or the professionals, what they want, they need the fame and the status, they want success in their career, they want to achieve their goals in the professional life, they want to move in their career, right? All things can be done when the sun was in the 10th house. Anybody have questions on the 10th house sun? No? Okay, then we'll see the 11 and the 12 itself. Sun in the 11th house is the easiest one. Okay. 11th house, what is the meaning? 11th house is the fulfillment of the desires, your profit and the gain, and your cash flow. Everything comes in the 11th house. That represents your 11th house. Regardless of whether the sun was present, Mercury was present in the 11th house, what is the 11th house will be? Your fulfillment of desires, profits and the gains, and the cash flow. Okay, now we'll see the sun in the 11th house. Gain from the influential peoples. You may have a number of influential peoples in your life, but what is the important point to remember here? You will get and benefit from them, you will get the gain from them. Importantly, profit from the large organization, institution, and association. Okay, the sun in the 11th house peoples, these are the venture capitalists. When you see any of your venture capitalists, ask them to see their horoscope. Definitely they have the sun in the 11th house. Or when you see the people for the high successful career, see their horoscope. In any career, there is who were very successful in their career. Check whether the sun in the 11th house. Definitely there is the sun and the 11th house association will be definitely there. These people are like when they dream, they have the way, they know how to manifest in their life. But even if they dream about the impossible dream, they have an ability to do it. These people are not like, okay, I dream this, but I can't do it. These people are like, I dream this, I manifested it. It was like that. They know how to set the vision. When the sun in the 11th house people, when they're the very high visionaries. Normally the peoples will see it 10 years, 20 years, or even 50 years in front of them. But these peoples will see 100 years or maybe 200 years ahead of them. They have very good visionary. They know how to see the world in a different dimension. They want to see, okay, when I introduced this into this world, or when I introduce this thing into the business, how much my business going to nourish, how much my business going to flourish in which part of an area. And when I set this goal, how much it will affect my life. They have all kind of that information in their hand. They know how to handle that also. When the sun in the 11th house, it's super good for them. Okay, what are the things we have to remember? Imagine a situation when your lagna was the Kumbha lagna, and where the sun will be placed?
Danur.
Dhanur Rasi. And the sun aspecting which house?
Mithuna.
Mithuna.
Fifth house, right?
Yes.
So 11th house, what are the things we have to remember? Sun, which sun is placed in which Rasi? It's in the enemy house or not. it's afflicted or not. Afflicted, when you say afflicted means everything comes into picture. What is it? It's reside in the enemy house or not, debilitated or not, it was aspected by the malefic or benefic, everything comes into picture. So you have to see where the sun, which Rasi sun was in, afflicted or not, and aspecting which house. Once you understand this point, that's it. At this moment, if you are clear about this, is more than enough. When the sun, which is in the 11th house, aspecting the 5th house, it's good for them. Okay, this won't get any different aspect. And okay, what is the 5th house? 5th house is for your
Fifth is Aries, no?
Children and love affairs.
5th house is for
Children
your
Fame,
positive,
children, fame,
and love affairs, romantic love,
romantic pursuits. Okay,
creativity,
and,
romance.
creativity,
creativity, yes.
intelligence, everything comes into picture. When the sun was aspecting the 5th house, okay, what we see in the 5th house, when the sun is in the 5th house, they have the good creativity and the intelligence is good, and the possibility of when the women, sun in the 5th house, their first child will be very difficult. Okay, but when the sun, which is aspecting the 5th house, now this is the homework for you. 11th house, sun aspecting the 5th house, sun. What will be the result? Is it the same point will come, or is there any difference? I gave you the answer earlier in the class itself, but this is the homework. 11th house sun aspecting the 5th house. We already saw the 5th house. What the 5th house will do? 5th house will give you the creativity, intelligence, progeny, etc. But one important thing, when it comes into the sun in the 5th house, the first delivery of the Jataka, that for the female Jataka, will be very difficult. Is that the same for the sun in the 11th house? Because sun in the 11th house is aspecting the 5th house.
It will reduce that risk, right?
I don't think there is any risk.
Yeah, it will
Yeah, okay.
reduce.
If you don't take any risk, why? Okay, take your time. Take your time, and okay, come back again and tell me also. But remember this: if I forgot also, tell me. Sun in the 11th house, aspecting the 5th house, the same effect will come out. Take your
It
time.
will not be, because 5th house will not have sun. That means there is no high risk in the first pregnancy. But
Correct.
sun
house
is aspecting, okay.
Sun is aspecting 5th house. Okay, take your time and tell me. This is not a one-word answer as usual. But here, what are the things you have to consider? You have to see the owner of this house, and where they're placed in the Jataka, and what are the strength. Because the sun now is the sun was placed in the Jupiter, that is a friend, aspecting the neutral. Mercury is a neutral to the sun. So there is no high energy of the malefic here. But remember one thing, when the sun was aspecting the planet, imagine there was no graha in it. Okay, for the simpler understanding. There was no graha in it. But the owner is the neutral, but for the sun, treating the Mercury as a neutral one. But Mercury, the sun as the sun as the friend, sorry, sun as a
Vanita, here
Hmm.
sun is in Dhanur, which is owned by Jupiter.
Hmm.
And Jupiter is the Putra Karaka. Is that the reason why there will be no risk in the first pregnancy?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, there is also one more thing that won't give you an answer. Okay, I will tell you one interesting thing. Imagine a situation when the Jupiter was placed here. Jupiter was placed in the 12th, that is the Makara Rasi, that's a Sunny's house. When the Jupiter was placed in the Saturn house, it's not a good sign. And then it was in the 12th house. So the maximum energy of the Jupiter will be reduced drastically. You will get the 50% of the energy. So at this moment, the owner of the house is not in a good position, but even then it is an auspicious planet. Put the sun in the Jupiter or the friend. When it was aspected by the neutral planet, there is no high possibility of the risk. As you said, there is no possibility of the risk in the male child for the first delivery. That is yes, because the affliction is not high level. Sun was aspecting the fifth only, but the aspecting the owner here, importantly, when the sun was aspecting the other, you have to see the graha which is placed in it. Here, imagine the situation, there was no graha placed in it. So we can conclude that when the sun was aspecting the fifth house, if there was no graha in it, but the sun was in a good position, we can consider the progeny may not get affected. But keep that in mind. Keep the question here itself. We will come back this point again and again. This is the one point will confuse you later in the point. That's why I skip this one point and go with the main points here now. First, understand the points in the sun in the 11th house, sun in the 12th house, sun in the 10th house. Then we will move forward into the aspect. That is a good one. But why I'm giving this drill here itself? Because once you have a mind twist at this moment, then whenever you see the Jataka, you have an understanding of whatever Vanita said was wrong. Okay, this is the point. I understand the sun was not in a good position, suspected by the fifth. Maybe the possibility is the high possibility the pregnancy risk will be here. You may conclude that point. That's why I introduced this point here itself. But at this point, because the sun was in a good position, we no need to consider it about the fifth house aspect of the sun here. Okay. Okay, let's moving into the 12th house. Now we'll quickly finish with the sun in the 12th house. Then when the next week we'll move into the next graha. Already I exited 8 minutes. Will bear with me for 5 more minutes. Sun in the 12th house. And sun is in the 12th house. Imagine this is the situation now. Sun in the 12th house. Before that, what does the 12th house represent? It's in a sign of Boham. That means it represents the house for the sleep, house for the pleasure, it's house for the liberation, house for the detachment, house for the expenditure. Everything comes into the 12th house. When the sun was setting in this house, what will happen? These people will become like a
lot of energy, so they won't rest. I don't know, I'm just guessing.
No, there's okay. The house, the sun definitely have an energy, but how they're directing the energy, it is a bit different based on the house. The 12th house is a kind of house of liberation. And this is the point that they want to leave all kind of the worldly affairs. But when the sun was in the 12th house, the saturation level of the worldly life will come. They feel like, okay, saturation from professional worldly life. They feel like, okay, this is done. I'm done with this professional. And they move towards the path of the enlightenment. Most of in southern part of India, the people will casually speak about the moksha. Whenever they do, I do this because I'm going to get the moksha. I didn't hear the other part of the people will speak about this, but here the people will casually speak. I want to get the moksha, so I'm doing this. Even if they are going to temple, also they will tell, okay, I'm going to temple every Friday, so I will get the moksha. They simply speak like this. These peoples will take every step towards the enlightenment. When the sun in the 12th house, there is the possibility that individual will get the enlightenment at the age of 21 or around the age of the 21. There is a reason about the age of the 21. Most of the sannyasis, they will get the enlightenment around this age because the guru's maturity, the graha's guru maturity age is about around the 16 years of an age. And every graha will have the different maturity age. But the enlightenment will come to one person around the age of 21. There are the other young sannyasis. They will get the enlightenment at the age of 7, 8. What does it mean? There are the young sannyasis will get enlightenment around the 11, 15, 16. Why this happen? Because these peoples will have an very good knowledge or very good karmas which is carry forward from the previous life, and they move towards the next life. They understand the life energy, or they understand the universe very quickly. So that's why the enlightenment come into them very early in their life. Mostly they are philanthropic. Whatever they have an ability to earn very well, but they want to spend whatever they earn, most of their assets to the world. Whatever they earn, they give it to the world as much as they can. Okay. These peoples have a very advanced advances in the spiritual setting. This is the high possibility. These people, the mind, the body, their energy level always moves towards the spiritual. Because when the sun was in the 12th house, there is also saying that when the Ketu was in the 12th house, this is the end of your end of the lifetime. You won't take the rebirth. There is a twist there. You won't get the rebirth, but you may have the n number of Jataka, which is Ketu in the 12th house. That means they won't take the rebirth. There was some kind of the conditions you have to see that. But mostly, generally, people will say, when the Ketu was in the 12th house, you won't take the rebirth. But there is also another meaning. You won't have a rebirth of a human, but there is a high possibility you may move into the higher planet, or you may take a rebirth in a different species, right? A species also. That's a totally different story. We don't need to get into that. Come back to the sun in the 12th house. Their spiritual advancement is really, really not predictable. They will advance very, very in a very fast way. How you can see that? You can't determine that. When the sun in the 12th house people, their longing, their desire, even if they want to spend, they want to give, they want to spend their money, they spend it towards the spiritual thing. The detachment level is so high. They feel like, okay, whatever it is, whatever which I get from this world. That's why I'm giving. It's not like I'm giving. I put it again to the world itself, and I'm done for this life, and I'm moving towards another dimension. These peoples will speak in such a way that, okay, whatever the work which I done in this dimension, I'm done, and moving into another dimension. And they have an ability to do that also, because their energy level is so high. None of the people have make the detachment so easy. Every people have the attachment to their life, to attachment to their family, to attachment to whatever they are doing. They can't able to detach from them easily. But the sun in the 12th house were a strong ability to detach from everything, particularly from all the worldly affairs. Okay. And importantly, if they are working in the foreign countries, the high possibility, sun in the 12th house, definitely they will work in foreign countries. Okay. Then the people will say, I'm not working, I'm having a sun in the 12th house, I'm not working. Okay, definitely you will travel. One or the other way will happen. Okay, anybody having the sun in the 12th house? No?
No one.
Okay, last important. When the sun in the 12th house is respecting which house? Sixth house. What is the sixth house is for?
Diseases.
Runa Roga.
Runa Roga, Ripu, Runa Roga. And also your job. Okay. When the sun was respecting the sixth house, you have an impact on this thing also. Rina, Roga, Ripu, and as well as in your job also. What is that meaning? getting of the disease, if there was no malefic planet in your sixth house, then you may not get the disease easily. You may not conquer by an enemy. Imagine a situation. The sun aspecting the sixth house, which is in a very good position. You may not get a disease. You may not get an enemy. The debt won't come to you easily. Even if you have a debt also, you have an ability to close the debt, or you have an kind of an hobby to keep that loan for lifelong. But it's not a burden for you. What I'm trying to say, nothing will be burden for you. But if it was aspected by the malefic planet, the story will be a little bit different. We will see that later on. Okay. But at this moment, keep that in mind. The sun in the 12th house is a superhero. It will give you the liberation. It will have you the tendency of the liberation. That is the most important. Most of the people, when they say liberation, there is some kind of butterfly in their stomach. But the sun in the 12th house, they feel like enjoyment when they want to achieve the liberation. Okay. Any doubts till now?
Vanita,
Mm.
if somebody has Vrishchika Lagna and the
Mm.
12th house sun will be in Tula, which is debilitated,
Mm.
will all these still hold good?
Okay, here is a twist. When the sun was afflicted, but the sun was in the 12th house. Okay, when Vrishchika and the sun was here, right? Where is the Venus?
No, I just gave you an example. That's it.
Okay, when the sun was depleted, right? The sun's energy will be gone. Means the hidden houses, the Dustana, when the sun's energy was not received, means it's done. But the sun's 12th house will have the different impact. If it was, even if it was depleted also, the saturation will come in a delayed fashion, or it may be in their heart. It won't be come out of them very easily, but their longing for their enlightenment will come. Because when the sun was depleted, means the energy level will be little bit only, but the impact will be really high. When the sun was in the 12th house, means this impact will be there, but the nature of procedure will be delayed. The saturation level will come when, imagine a situation when the sun was in a good 12th house position. They get the saturation of the professional life in the yearly 40s itself. The 30 to 35, they will get, okay, I'm done with my job. That enlightenment may come in the 20 age itself, 21 age itself, they will get enlightened. But if the sun was not in a good position, sun was completely afflicted, and that is in the 12th house itself, this procedure will be delayed. Their enlightenment will be in their heart. Their enlightenment, the spreading of the enlightenment into their cells will get delayed. Okay, how it is possible? Okay, you may think about the enlightenment. I want to get enlightenment. I want to get enlightenment. You may think about this day and night, but it should be penetrate into your cells, and it makes you to do the action. It makes you to make your mind a saturated level. It's like it was like that. Okay, the enlightened part is not like a cakewalk. You are going to fun travel. It was not like that. You have to be detached from everything, and the detachment is not a painful thing. That's an important. But when the sun was deflected, maybe this is also, I'm guessing, we have to see the entire Jataka. But the sun in the 12th house that is very much afflicted means they have the enlightenment thinking process, but the attaining this enlightenment will not delay. They may get a very, very later age in their life. It may come after their 70s or 80s. That point in time, their body will, the body may not cooperate for them. Okay, when the enlightenment will be helpful for a human? The people will say, okay, I will get an enlightenment at the age of 60. No, that is useless to you. You have to get an enlightenment at the age of, why the age of 21 is the very good age for enlightenment? Because your entire body cells cooperate with you, and it have an ability to move forward with you, whatever you want to do. If you want to detach from your life, if you want to liberate from all kind of the desires, you want to fulfill everything in your life and go away from this worldly affairs, that is the point you have an energy. But at the point of an 60 or the 70, your cells are already in a dying state. The enlightenment is in a faraway dream for you. But this person may get an enlightenment dream at the age of the 60. That is an unachievable dream for him. Philonotherapists, definitely they will do, they may not do an extraordinary way, but they will do this no matter what. Even though they then have money in their packet, whatever the paise which is coming into them, they will definitely spend for them, spend for others. The spiritual settings will be advantages in that, but maybe they may get delayed in meeting their gurus. They may be get delayed in associating with the relative partners. There are some kind of the obstacles they have to face to overcome to achieve their liberation. But the mindset will be there. Their mindset will be they want to liberate, they want enlightenment. The spiritual thing is always revolving in their mind. But what are the things you have to keep that in mind? How much strength you have, how much strength reside in your body to move forward. So that speaks the position and the strength of the thing. But altogether, the 12th house is and see for any of the people who have the 12th houses and speak with them. You will find out definitely they will speak about the enlightenment. They will speak about I want to give that, and I don't want to this. At least you will heard about the word of the detachment once in a while. Is that okay?
Okay. Basically, all the traits will be there. Whether they will achieve it 100%, that will be reduced because they are in the 12th
That will
house.
be reduced, that will be delayed. That will be delayed. That is the possibility.
Okay.
It
got
will
it.
be, it will be in them. You see, now other peoples will have a different grahas in here. They won't have they see the people are getting enlightenment. They know what is the enlightenment or other stuff. But these people's, their mind will be revolved around that. It's a kind of the every cells in their body imprinted with the word of the enlightenment in them. They say, okay, I want enlightenment. That's why they have the urge very much. When they're taking the next birth, their enlightenment was very quick. They will get the enlightenment in 7 years, 10 years, and they become the sannyas in 11 years. You will really wonder how come this little boy will become a sannyas. But it's because of their in earlier births, they overcome different obstacles in their life. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Vanta.
And what about working in foreign countries? Will that happen? Traveling and working
Okay.
in foreign countries?
Okay, definitely this will happen for them. But imagine a situation when you have the very good position, the 12th sun, working in the foreign countries, it doesn't matter. But what kind of the work, how flexibly you are working. See, happily working in a foreign countries is a different story. And I'm hard working in and suffering in a foreign countries is a different story. But you will work in a foreign country. You will understand that two difference, right?
Mhm.
Okay, when it comes into the traveling also, I will tell you one thing. You will definitely travel, okay? Travel for your work, travel for any other things. What the mindset you are having? You are traveling with fun and joy, or you are traveling with, okay, I have to travel in that kind of the compulsion, or there is no choice for you and you have to travel. There is a difference, right? How much happy you are, how much sad you are. The traveling
Okay.
and the working in the foreign countries will be there. But what kind of the situation you are in? Then you have to see the entire horoscope. But keep this in mind. There was one time my teacher was saying there was one situation will say, okay, the 12th house is also represent the imprisonment. Okay. And he told to them, okay, this person will work in a foreign country. And that woman will try to run away immediately. And then the other people pacify her and ask them why he was a really very good reader. Why are you running away from him? And she said, no, I'm seeing for this house too for my husband who is imprisoned in the foreign country. But he is saying he's working in the foreign country. There is the thing. There is a possibility. The people will reside in the foreign country, but are you residing in a foreign country or whatever you are doing in a foreign country? It is totally different, right? The stories will be different. That's why you have to carefully see the horoscope and you finally say the answer to it. Otherwise, instead of finding the answer, you can reduce the time. You can directly ask them what they are doing in the foreign country.
Okay.
Then you might say, okay, why I need to then remember all this? This is the base. This is the base. There is no change in here. Okay, the saturation from the professional life, enlightenment, and the personal spiritual setting, advancement, and the travel, working in the foreign countries, everything will be there. This is the base for you. But how you can twist and here and there, tweak here and there, it depends on your experience. You got this point?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Sunita.
We'll see you all next week then.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Vanita.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Vinita.
Bye bye.